Boa noite, everyone. We're back with the last review video of this national final season, and we're going to be talking about the 13 finalists of Portugal's Festival da Canção. My name is Erwin, and I'm joined by Matt, Joe, and Nicola. The first act we're going to be discussing is You Can't Win Charlie Brown with the song Contraste, Mudo.
These guys are fairly familiar to Portuguese viewers already. They come from sort of the same sort of musical background as like Os Quatro e Meia, the Brickies who came second last year. And, you know, they've been singing all their lives, you know, they've done all the festivals, and there are many in Portugal. And now they've got the chance to go to Festival da Canção. They actually won the open call, I think. And this is exactly the sort of like dreamy, ethereal, sort of high concept ambient pop that Festival da Canção does really well, and that I just absolutely love. It's a very specific genre. I just like to call it music I want to run down a hill in slow motion to. It has, and I'm going to use this word a lot because it is Portugal, it has saudade, that they are just obsessed, muito saudade, they're obsessed with, they just can't let go of the past. Nostalgia is just baked into everything that they do. It's so minimalist. And I absolutely love it. A lot of people I've spoken to say that it is not for Eurovision. I don't really think that's in the spirit of Eurovision, to be honest. I don't see why this couldn't do well. Compound time, I always say that's underused at Eurovision. There's a lot to like about this. I'm really on board with it.
I'm going to go the opposite to Joe. I like the name, You Can't Win Charlie Brown, but apart from that, that was the only thing I liked. I just found it just so bland, just quite dull for me. And for me personally, it is different, but I just think it could really struggle at Eurovision. I just think that there's just going to be other songs which are going to stand up much more. And I think in this national final as well, I just think there's just much better songs. And it was the sort of song I listened to, and I just thought, I just can't wait till this ends. Sorry.
Well, turn that into points, Matt. Out of 10?
So I'm going to give it a 4.
Joe?
That is harsh. I'm going to give it a 9.
Nicola?
I'm in the middle with this one, so it's a 6.
I'm in the middle as well, but for me it's a 5. The second song we're going to be discussing is titled Endless World, and it's performed by Neon Soho.
This song is very interesting, and the performance is very dark in a way, and also on the other hand it has some mystic element to it which drags me towards it every single time I listen to it. And I kind of feel torn because as much as I like it, I also don't like it. So I would really not know how to describe the song to someone who listens to it for the first time. It's definitely something which you need to hear and immerse yourself into in order to make your own impression, because I'm also not sure what is my impression about a song. As much as I like it, I also don't like it. So I'm definitely torn between.
See, when I started listening to this song, at the very beginning, for some reason, it reminded me of the song House of the Rising Sun by The Animals. But that sort of lasted only until like the pre-chorus. And like, I genuinely don't know why, but it reminded me of that. I struggled to understand the meaning behind the outfits, and the whole song and the performance are quite mysterious, as Nicola said. But I felt like it's the kind of mystery that I don't really think I want to solve. It was well sung, but it wasn't drawing me in like even the slightest. And I don't think that this is the song that Portugal should send to Eurovision, as it's not memorable at all. And like, should this somehow get to Eurovision, I think that a lot of people are going to like remain trying to figure out what it was that they saw and what they heard with the performance, but then completely forget about it like as soon as the next song started. Let's score Endless World out of 10. Matt?
So I'm going to give this a 6.
Joe?
I feel like most of these points are for the Lizard Bride realness, but I'm just giving it a 5.
Nicola?
5.
I'm going to go with a 3. Next up, we have Edmundo Inácio with the song A Festa.
This song just gives me festive vibes, which Portugal stands about, and also it gives me the energy of Portuguese language and Portuguese instrument to the fullest. And as much as one part of me would never listen to this song back again because it's not usually the genre which I prefer listening, it has something captivating, and it's a song which I maybe enjoy listening to the most of all of the songs in the national selection. And the energy and the vibe of it is definitely something special. And also, even though because I didn't pay attention to the content of the lyrics, I first thought it's singing about migration or something like that, and not the festival itself, because I was drawn by the music. But then when I also considered the lyrics and when I understood what's going in, I liked it even more. So it's a song which I will definitely be listening even if Portugal doesn't send it to Eurovision. So for me, if you ask me, it's definitely a strong contender, and I hope it will sneak among the top 3.
Well, I mean, Nicola, I'm not surprised that you enjoy listening to it, because like every artist I chatted to absolutely loved this song. It's got rave reviews from the fans in Portugal, from the artists, from, this is definitely a kind of a jury bait song. And, you can tell from his cracking vocals, his on point outfit, his sort of the way that it sort of has the call back to his youth with like the veiled instrumentalists and the adufa, the square tambourine instrument, lyrically it's kind of the Portuguese version of Boys Do Cry, really. It's kind of, but in a sort of not in a simplistic way, it's kind of, he's at this party, he's sort of having this sort of, he doesn't see his place there, he's like, I need to leave, I need some time to myself, it's kind of, it is sort of tackling his own mental health, and so the first half is kind of carried by his voice. I do think the staging does need a little bit more punch, just because, he is such an accomplished performer. I think he can elevate it slightly. I don't know why the instrumentalists only coming in like the latter part of the final chorus. In terms of whether it can win, I think it has a chance. In terms of whether there are better songs in the contest that maybe stand out a bit more over something that maybe won't work outside of Portugal, maybe it's not the best.
Let's score A Festa out of 10. Matt?
I'm going to give it a 6.
Joe?
I've given this an 8, not a bad effort.
Nicola?
10.
See, Joe, you almost ruined it for me a little bit when you compared it to Boys Do Cry, but like this is very Portuguese, and I love it. I'm going to give this one a 9. We got to song number 4, which is Goodnight, performed by Bárbara Tinoco. Now, I have to start by saying that I really enjoyed Pascoal, her previous entry in Festival da Canção a couple of years ago, and I was really expecting something amazing from her again this year, and to be honest, I could not be more disappointed, because this song is what I call elevator music, basically. The blandest of the bland pop music that goes absolutely nowhere. The song kind of lives up to its title, I think, because it's kind of making me fall asleep, and the staging doesn't really help it either. But I have to give props to all the people joining her on stage, because like they managed to pull out the mannequin challenge for about like half the song. But yeah, on the positives, Bárbara has an amazing voice. She's pitch perfect throughout the entire song, but the song is just like so bland that it's not even funny. I'm super disappointed with this one, and like I'm really sorry.
I have to disagree. I think that Bárbara's got, as you say, a really unique voice. I think it's a really quirky song, and I think it's something that could do really well at Eurovision. Out of all the songs at the national final, it's one of my favourites. I think there's something about this that's really unique. It's really different, and as I say, I think if they did choose this for Portugal, I think it could do really well.
Turn that into points. Goodnight out of 10, Matt.
I'm going to give it a 9.
Joe?
Despite my slight ick about songs in English at FDC, I'm giving this a 7.
Nicola?
I was also very disappointed because I expected more from her, so it's a 4.
For me, this is a 2. Song number 5 is going to be Nasci Maria, performed by Claudia Pascoal.
Claudia Pascoal, we all know the name. Well, I hope most Euro fans watching this will definitely know the name off of Au Jardin 2018. Still don't think she deserved to come last, but back this year with a very different vibe. Didn't really appreciate this song before the live, and then I realised it's one of the most bonkers songs I've ever seen at Festival da Canção. Like, I just had a look at, like, it's a massive change from Au Jardin. And it's possibly even more Portuguese, if that's possible. Like, I had a look at the lyrics, and it's kind of like she's gone for the sort of Rigoberta Bandini sort of Ai Mamá, but from the perspective of a baby. Like, sort of, it's female empowerment, but it's like, what she's saying is she's just been born, and she's like, what can I be later on in, like, you know, that's that bit on the stage where they're sort of hanging out the washing and, like, you know, oh, you know, I don't want to be this, I want to, you know, but, you know, all I can say now is I am myself and I can be what I like. And then that's before we get onto the live performance. And my God, it's slick. Those dance moves were absolutely on point. There are bits of it when she puts Chanel to shame. I think this can fill a tiny cupboard at RTP Studios as much as it could an arena at Liverpool, to be honest. You know, even if the song is a little bit weird, she more than makes up with it with the staging and the outfit and just everything about this I'm obsessed with.
See, I agree with most of the things that you said, but I thought that Au Jardin coming last in Eurovision was absolutely deserved. And I'm super happy that she came back. Sorry. I'm super happy that she came back with something that's like so different to that song. But I do find it like super strange, and there's so many rhythm and melody changes in it that like I'm not sure that I'm keeping up with all of that. But the Nasci Maria, Nasci Mulher is repeated so many times that like eventually it's going to get stuck in your head whether you like it or not. And the thing that I found, I think, the weirdest in the entire song was the random like dog bark in the middle of the song, because like that really like made me wonder in that particular section, like what on earth is happening here? Let's score it out of 10. Matt?
I really like this, so I'm going to give it an 8.
Joe?
Likewise, staging elevated it. I'm giving it an 8.
Nicola?
I just wish it wasn't so repetitive, so I will give it a 6.
I'll go with a 5. Let's continue with Esse Povo with Sapatos de Cimento.
Yeah, so this is a really catchy song. It's something that really pulls you in. It grabs your attention. It's something that I really enjoyed, and it's a song which I think could do really well at Eurovision. I think in this national final for me, there's a lot of songs which I do find quite bland, whereas this one for me, it really grabs your attention. So I really enjoyed it. I think it could do well at this national final and at Eurovision as well, I think, with both the public and the jury.
I would have to agree the fact that definitely it has some energy to it, and it's captivating because of the fact that the melody is making you hum it even though the song is finished. So I definitely have the melody even though I listened to the song, I don't know, when was it the last time. It still has something which I cannot also understand, like why is it so at the same time a bit down and also a bit so bright, because I have a feeling that they're very joyful and crazy about their energy and everything like that. But on the other hand, I don't see it as uplifting as it should be, I think. I mean, that's the energy I got from it. But definitely the melody and the song and the lyrics are interesting, and it's something which is worth listening, but definitely it will be an interesting song to be there as the, let's say, as the breaker of the music and the songs which are having the similar vibe most of the time during the final.
Let's score this song out of 10. Matt?
I'm going to give it a 7.
Joe?
Didn't make me want to kick off my cement shoes. I'm going to give it a 6.
Nicola?
6.
This was just like a little bit too hyper for me. I'm going to go with a 4. Song number 7 is going to be Tormento, performed by Voodoo Marmalade.
I mean, it is always bold to go to a national final with a fully acoustic song. You know, even if it is Festival da Canção, which is sort of known for being a bit, you know, indie and underground, this is completely spiritual. It's completely, you know, there's no sort of bass to it. It's just 4 guys and their ukuleles. You know, they probably put up the stained glass windows on the screens in the background. You know, it sort of gives sort of builders singing a cappella in your living room or whatever. You know, it's got a really catchy chorus. Again, like Nasci Maria, it's the sort of thing that you will have in your head after they perform. You know, particularly given they were at the end of the show, that really helped them. And I am just, honestly, I am obsessed with the bit when they did that sort of like rock lean, like sort of Rasmus, when he was sort of playing the ukulele on the back of the other one. Like, you know, it is crazy. It's like your dad's getting together in the shed. Is it really going to win the show? Probably not. But, you know, they're trying. They got through the open call. They're clearly very good musicians, and you know, I'm all for this.
Yeah, with the Voodoo Marmalade, really like the band's name. It's another band with a really cool name. I found this really calm, really relaxing. So it's something you could sort of listen to on a Sunday. Very Portuguese as well in its sound. But when I listened to this, I just thought, whilst I quite like this myself, I could see this really struggling at Eurovision. I just think there are much better songs in this national final, and yeah, it's good, but I just think it needs something a bit more to make it stand out, really.
How many points out of 10, Matt?
I'm going to give it 6.
Joe?
I'm going to give the Builders a 7.
Nicola?
4.
See, I just love the playfulness of this one. I'm going to give it a 7. We're halfway through, so let's continue with DAPUNKSPORTIF and their song World Needs Therapy. Now, if you watched any of our previous reaction videos, you probably figured out that I do enjoy a little bit of like plain garage rock. And the way I see this is that these guys came to Festival da Canção, they did their thing, and they're probably not too bothered like what's going to happen next. And I absolutely respect that. It's not the best song of its kind, but it is perfectly listenable. It's also super well performed. The lights and the camera work perfectly in their favor. They made it look a lot less static than it actually is. And on Saturday, it won't win, but I'm really, really glad that they made the finals, as they absolutely deserve to be there.
I would also like to say that I really enjoyed the song and it's performed well, as Erwin said, so I definitely agree with that. Also, the lyrics are nice, even though it maybe seem like the lyrics are written just because of the current situation happening in the world. It's depicting something which I also feel, so it resonated with me definitely, and I really enjoyed the performance too. And even though I don't see them definitely as winners, I will listen to the song even after the show. And yeah, all in all, it's a nice effort, and I'm glad that thanks to the Portuguese national selection, I discovered the band, and I will be having a chance to listen to more of their music. And that's what I'm excited about.
Let's score World Needs Therapy out of 10. Matt?
I'm going to give it 5 out of 10.
Joe?
For the first time, we agree. I'm also giving it 5.
Nicola?
7 from me.
I agree with Nicola. I'm going to give it 7. Song number 9 is Fim do Mundo, performed by INÉS APENAS.
So this is one of those songs, and I think this can be said for a lot of songs this year, but I'm a massive fan of the studio version. And then I think, not that I necessarily didn't vibe with the live performance, but I just think there's there's an element that needs to be there for it to perhaps elevate it to being like one of my favorites. Like, It's a very strong song. It has a natural crescendo. Compound time, love that. Juries love that. You know, not a lot to complain about there. Nice lyrics, you know, let's get out before the world ends. Oh no, world's ended, but it's okay, I don't care because I have you. You know, it's a nice sentiment. Didn't really get the sort of the green PVC jumpsuit and the delayed playing of the piano. You know, if you're going to look like you're playing the piano, then at least make it look a little bit more convincing than INÉS did. It looked like she was trying to do about 3 things at once, and then she had her contemporary dancers on the stage. Like, I think this is the sort of song where you just need to strip it down and just sort of let it breathe a bit, because the crescendo, the natural, the sort of the piano riff will do that for you. And she's got a cracking voice. She's a wonderful performer. Apparently she's lovely, and I think Irving can attest to that. And you know, I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do in the final. But if anyone needs to change their staging, I think it's her.
See, I tend to disagree with that a little bit. Yes, like I had the pleasure of talking to INÉS prior to Festival da Canção, and she's an absolute sweetheart. Putting that aside, like from the very first time that I heard this song, I really loved it because I immediately felt that like she's bringing something that's like her own. The song has like a very interesting mix of instruments that shouldn't necessarily work well together so well, but the instrumentation here is done in a way that somehow it just works. It's not the catchiest of songs, but still, there's something really unique about this, and the melody of it, together with the piano, it kind of draws you in. The staging was very simple. It was a little bit messy as well at times, but I don't know, for me, that kind of just like worked, especially with the theme of like, the world is ending. So in a way, I thought that like that mess was actually nicely thought through, and it was very nicely shot. It's probably not gonna win, but for me, this was like a super enjoyable performance and a super nice song. Let's score Fim do Mundo out of 10. Matt?
I'm going to give this a 6.
Joe?
There's a lot of promise here. I'm giving it an 8.
Nicola?
It's a 6 for me.
I'm gonna give it an 8 as well. We got to song number 10, which is Povo, performed by Ivandro.
This performance seemed very static to me, and also the song didn't, even though it's very emotional and he tried his best to convey the emotion, it just didn't buy me. And definitely it's a song which was very forgetful, and also I didn't want to play it again, which is a pity because it goes for the music which I would actually be listening to from the national selection, but this one just didn't give me an impression of that, and I'm very sorry for it, because I actually do think that the song has much things to offer, but I'm just not the audience for it, definitely.
I thought he had a really good voice. I thought that he sings with real emotion. It's a really unique song. It's something that's different. It's something that really stands out. And I think for me that this could do really well in the national final. I do think there are better songs in this, but yeah, for me this is sort of in the middle. I don't love it, I don't hate it, but yeah, I think he's got a really good voice, but really unique. He seems to sing with real passion as well, and yeah, I think this could do well.
4 out of 10. Matt?
I'm going to give this a 6.
Joe?
Cracking vocal, love the sort of Gambiera staging. This is getting an 8.
Nicola?
4 from me.
I loved his vocals. He's one of the best singers, but the song just does nothing for me. So for me, this is a 3. Song number 11 is going to be Coração, performed by Mimicat.
So Mimicat, she's someone who looks very unique. She's got a really unique voice as well. I think her song's very quirky as well. But for me, this is another song which I don't love it, I don't hate it. It's just sort of in the middle, and I think that when you've got songs that aren't great. They could struggle at Eurovision. So yeah, for me, this is right in the middle. Don't love it, don't hate it. I think she's got a good voice, but yeah, I just think Portugal could send something much better than this, I think.
See, for me, this one is kind of like a theatrical song and performance, but like with a really, really cool twist. And there's something about her that makes you just like unable to take your eyes off of her and off of the performance. It is a bit like cabaret-like. It's really well sung, and I don't know, like it kept me entertained during the entire 3 minutes. I would not be surprised the slightest if she ends up winning the televote. The only thing that I'm not entirely sure about is like how well this is going to be received by the juries and whether they're going to vote her high enough to be the overall winner. Let's score Coração out of 10. Matt?
Straight in the middle for me, 5.
Joe?
The only fault with this is her car's Wi-Fi. I am giving this a 10.
Nicola?
As someone who likes musicals, I give it a 10.
I'm going to give this one a 9. Two more to go, so let's continue with Sal and the song Viver.
This is an interesting one because I was ready to discount this until it qualified, and I paid a bit more attention to it because actually it turns out this song is probably one of the strongest lyrically. Like I got the impression it was a very sort of celebratory anthem, and like, you know, just judging from the name, you know, Viver, you know, to live your life, but like it's got a lot of very specific references to some very specific people in it, and it is kind of the message it's trying to convey is really interesting. It's like, so it references António Variações, who was like a really famous Portuguese sort of singer and politician who was one of the first notable people to die of AIDS, like kind of anywhere really. And so the kind of the message of the song is sort of live your life to the full, even if the circumstances are against you, which I think, you know, it's kind of, it's happy, but it's also acknowledging that, you know, times are also a bit hard and, you know, but we kind of have to make the most of it. You do see a lot of acts changing their staging between the semi-finals and the final at Festival da Canção, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see something from these guys because they've got a really good slot in the last space in the final. So I'm kind of not discounting this one.
Well, if you ask me, I would have to agree and disagree on the things which were mentioned, because of the fact that I would definitely agree about the message of the song and the song itself and having so many layers and giving us a lot of things to think about. And also it's something which I deeply resonate with because the lyrics are so magical and so amazing and definitely something up in my alley right now. And I do think that performance, as dark as it is, it actually suits the song so well that they actually don't need to change anything, because if they do something different and if they add a bit of I don't know, pink color or something like that, they will lose the essence and they will not be true to what they're singing about. And it's a song which I hope will do well. And I would really enjoy seeing it on the stage in Liverpool. But I don't think they will manage to win the selection itself. But it's a song which definitely resonates with me deeply, as I mentioned a few times, and I love it.
Let's score Viver out of 10. Matt?
Not a fan of this one. I'm going to give it a 4.
Joe?
I'm almost a fan of this one. I'm giving it a 7.
Nicola?
9 for me.
It's another 4 for me. Last but not least, we have Churky with Encruzilhada.
So this for me was my least favourite. I found it very old-fashioned, very bland. That there was nothing about this that stood out at all. And yeah, just listening to this, to be honest, I just couldn't wait until it ended. I just found it very dreary, not very original. and yeah, just not a fan of this at all.
I think the only way I can really start this one after Matt absolutely slated it is I'll just counter that by saying he feels better in his sweater. And I think that really just explains a lot of the vibe of this song, really. All right, Irvin. So when I first started watching it, like having not seen him, like having heard the song but not seen him, he did come across as a bit of like a Portuguese Gabani, and it did sound like something that could have been like, you know, in the sort of the running to be on Tóxico Independente. You know, it was a little bit, you know, back end of Sanremo, maybe Sanremo Giovanni, something like that. But at the same time, there were some really nice sort of like instrumentations in it, sort of the 3-chord progression throughout, the lovely trumpet solo after the last chorus, which, you know, I'm a sucker for brass, so of course that did not go unnoticed. Also disappointed Danny isn't here, because I could have raved about the juicy key change in the final chorus, which, you know, I am not really a fan of. And I think overall, given that and the compound time and everything, it feels like he's going for a sort of a Beatles style ditty ballad, which, you know, maybe is not a coincidence given where Eurovision is this year. You know, it's good enough for the Festival da Canção final, but I don't think it's good enough for Eurovision.
Encruzilhada out of 10. Matt?
I'm going to give this a 3.
Joe?
I've been a bit more generous. I've given it a 7.
Nicola?
It's a 5 for me.
I'm going to give this one a 4 as well. The favorite of the four of us, as you can see, is Mimicat with her song Ai Coração, as she scored 34 points, but only a point behind. In the second place we have Edmundo Inácio. And completing the top 3, it's INÉS APENAS, who scored 28 points. Now, this was all based on our personal music tastes and our personal opinions, but let's try and be a little bit more objective, and let's try and predict who is going to win Festival da Canção.
I think for me, it's between Mimicat and Claudia. I think Claudia's got a really good song. I think it's much better than the one that she sent in 2018. I think if she's won the national final, which she has before, I think she could do again. But I also think Mimicat's got a very good song. For me personally, if I was to choose one, I'm going to go with Claudia.
So this is what I think is going to happen. Edmundo's going to win the jury vote and Mimicat will finish second, and then Mimicat will win the public vote and Edmundo will finish third. Combined, Mimicat is going to win.
If I consider all 13 songs which are competing this year, I think it's up to Mimicat to lose, because she definitely has the song which grabs the attention of the audience and of the juries, and I think she will be definitely getting a strong amount of points from both sides, so she's a strong contender and I see her winning the show.
I also believe that this is going to be between Mimicat and Edmundo Inácio, and I think that Edmundo is going to win the jury vote, but I'm not sure how high or how low they're going to rank Mimicat, and I think that this is what's going to decide the eventual winner. So for now, I believe that I would rather predict Edmundo as the winner. Thank you all for watching. Let us know down in the comment section whether you agree or you disagree with any of our thoughts and opinions, and also tell us who your personal favorite is in this year's Festival da Canção. Subscribe to our channel to watch all of our other videos as well, and also to keep up to date with all of our upcoming interviews with both national final entrants as well as with Eurovision entrants. I want to thank Matt, Joe, and Nicola for joining me for this video, and we're going to see you very soon. Bye, everyone.
See you guys.
Ciao.